Yeah.
But
I think Kamal, did you want to say something? You had your hand.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
For a while.
I'm sorry. I didn't see your hand. Sorry.
That's all right. I'm a novice here. I started with Personal.AI just a couple of hours ago. So, so I'm still new with all of that, but I've been up on, of course, ChatGPT for quite a while now. I use it every day, integrated in almost everything I do. Just tell you a little bit about me quickly. I'm an entrepreneur, and I have two tracks in my life. I run businesses. I'm not a tech guy, but it's all technology companies. And also, I'm in politics. I'm in conflict mediation, crisis mediation,
excellent.
and I train young activists in the Middle East on democracy and human rights and things like that. These are, parallel in my life. And going back to ChatGPT, I started using it, for everything, training manuals, translation of contract, translation of concepts, even like, paper to governments, that they need to have it in, in written proper Arabic. My first language is Arabic, but I can't write Arabic, grammatically. Been in the West for so long. So the idea of personal AI sounded very intriguing to me when I saw it. I think about a week or two ago, and I signed up for the wait list, and I got the wait list, I think yesterday, and I signed up today. So I'm still learning. So I apologize if I have any questions that it should be answered if I read all the FAQs and others. So I apologize in advance. But one of the things I'm curious about, can it integrate, for example, with my Gmail or my corporate email, where it can go and read back 15 years of email and analyze that? And the search capacity on Gmail and others is quite limited if you you want to look for context and you look for stuff. But can it read all of that so it learn about me, it learn about my project, jobs, relationship? Because if like I remember I logged into my old Yahoo account, the first email I ever logged into, and I read emails from 20 years ago, and it scared me. It's absolutely scared me, because it's my life is out there, or the relationships, or the people I interacted with, all the dumb stuff I sent, it's all out there.
Yes.
So my question is, can it do this? That's number one. And number two is privacy, encryption, security, all of that. How is this being guaranteed? And the third question, if I might say, how it can answer, can it also read, for example, my WhatsApp history, business and private? I have two apps, and and other similar apps that can learn about all of that, and then it can respond to people. These are the first one. I have others, but let us just start with these.
Yeah, I can answer the Gmail one right now. I think Zapier only supports ongoing new stuff going through the system, if I'm correct. However, you can go in, the external API usage that you can do on the back end allows you to go in on the Gmail side, and you can actually access their entire backend history through the API search. So currently I'm building a platform with a couple other guys to make that a lot easier for everybody. The idea is we're going to do a simple login through various platforms like Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, and we're going to use all those API access commands for the back end to go and pull all the historical data in. And then earlier we were talking with Brandon about being able to tag that properly. So how do you want that tagged? The next step would be processing it. So now you have your emails, maybe you want them all in Arabic, right? Because you want your AI trained in Arabic. So now we run all that data through and we put it through like Google's translation service, right? And it comes back, and now you have the English version, you have the Arabic version, you have a Italian version, whatever genres around the world you're working with, right? So you can definitely bring in stuff historically. I know Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, TikTok, most all social media platforms have API access. But basically between everybody here, we're all kind of trying to work as a team with our side time to build those connections up. And the EasyTrain.ai website I'm creating here in the next, I've secured the domain, and in the next 5 weeks, we're going to be releasing a set of features for live kind of news sources, weather, stuff like that to help train AIs. So I'm going to do that for free for all the free accounts, just to say, okay, well, you know, here's the live stream. You can copy and paste the information in. It's all the timestamp data, whatever. And then we're going to eventually have the tiers for the API clients as well, for the people on the paid accounts. That way people can go in and say, okay, well, I want live data from my city every 30 minutes coming in on a news blast, right? So that's kind of where I'm taking our kind of counterpart platform to try and help out the Personal AI team, because that way they can focus on making the user interface super rock solid. They can secure the back end. They can move it over to the blockchain, you know, make it so that we can all monetize our knowledge. And then at the same time, guys like Brandon are focusing on all the prompts and helping guys figure out what they can do with it. I'm trying to focus really heavily on how people get that data from point A to point B, because that's what I do as a sales and marketing nerd. I sell two-way radios for a living. So I sell Kenwood two-way radios. And for me, it was, I have 3,000 products in my list. I have customers. I got probably over 4,000 customers in my database. And then you have all the metrics that go along with that. So how do you take that and then say, boom, put that into an AI and say, when I'm talking to John, right, my AI knows John's name. My AI knows that John has 6 invoices in the system, and he knows the parts on the invoices, and he knows all the other things, right? So it's the same idea with your personal history on all the various social media platforms. We just say, you know, how do you want the information to come in? Do you want it to come in as a block of text, one email at a time? Do you want to include who sent it? Do you want to include who received it? Right? And all that you can kind of, you know, through the programming in Python. I mean, Brandon and me learned it in a couple of months to go through and do it ourselves. But we're trying to make that a lot easier for everybody else who doesn't have the technical background, right? By putting it on a web interface that's a little bit easier to use. So, I mean, and yes and no, it is possible, but it's going to take a little bit of time to make it super easy for everybody, right?
Yeah, yeah. And in terms of native integration, Kamal, we're also working on like the WhatsApp that you're talking about right now. We're going to be working on a version of like basically importing your WhatsApp history and essentially creating all the groups and contacts as if they were from WhatsApp. And now obviously all the conversational history and stuff will be synced back into Personal.AI. So that will be part of, I would say like relatively near-term effort that we'll be focusing on. And then the other thing that you asked about is privacy and encryption. I think Matt kind of like talked about it a little bit. So obviously like you own your data. That's like one of the promises that we have, right? You own your data model essentially. And if you decide to like walk away someday, you'll actually see, probably Brandon experienced this, but your entire, like everything that you have said will be gone from the platform. So that is promised. And then privacy side, right now, our data is segregated per person. So essentially, if you think about like you have your literally your own storage, that's never crossed with anyone else's data. And the training of your models only like pertains to that part of the data. And in, I'm actually talking to them next week, but in like a month or two, we'll be introducing kind of a blockchain layer on top of it as well. So you can essentially have your own keys that locks in your data. So at some point, if you're like, okay, I want to revoke access, you know, we won't have access anymore. So those are like the things that we're doing. Of course, on the like just, we're probably not going to seek a SOC 2 at any time soon because we're not a B2B type of business, but like penetration testing, like those things will be in fact. Yeah.
Sure, good. Thank you. Yeah, that makes sense. And just one question to know everybody, because like, are you all part of the Personal AI team, or because like, I mean, Brandon, you said that you're an attorney.
I hope Brandon and Matt will.
So I want to understand, you know, like the dynamics here, if it's possible.
Hold on a second. Let me. I'll have to reveal. This is who I work for. I'm a private attorney, but you know, the thing about it is I have seen, and here's my office.
Yeah.
So you can see my daughter's
Yeah.
drawings on my on the back of my door there. So but you know, no, but I feel like we're a community, really. We're a community of people.
I can feel that already. I already feel that. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's a community of, and I enjoy that, and I think that's important. Now, you know, will we, you know, will something else happen? Maybe. Who knows? I don't know. But you know, I was sitting here thinking about your problem. We need to export until we get. I mean, I understand. I think there's going to be a Gmail integration. I saw there's a calendar integration already popped up in grayed out. I saw that already. But I was thinking maybe we could get your Gmails into a CSV file and load them potentially. That may be a possibility, is to load them, you know, but we have to figure out how to load stuff. And loading stuff right now is you know, there's ways to do it. But you know, but going and loading that history is going to take some thought. But I see where you're saying I want my emails in also, but I don't use Gmail. All of my official emails are in Outlook.
Exactly. Yeah.
I use Outlook 365 for everything.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm on 3 platforms as well. I'm on Google and I'm on I have the Outlook stuff. I have personal Microsoft as well as Business 365 stuff, right?
Right.
So, you know, there's lots of ways to tie into it. It's just, it's a little bit challenging, right?
Well, here's the thing. Here's something I was thinking about, Matt. Can I call you Matt or just Matthew?
Oh, it's all good, buddy. Anything you want for $5.
We're in the South. We call people by nicknames in the South. Southern United States, we call people by nicknames. So I'm gonna call you Matt.
That works.
All right. You know, the reason I thought a CSV load would be great. One, it's kind of an industry standard for training AIs, right? Everybody, a lot of people are using CSVs to train. Two, they can't build an integration for every app under the sun.
That's right. And it standardizes it into a text format, and we can still send it in a string.
Because think about it. I mean, how many apps do you really have? I mean, there are
billions,
thousands of apps. So, you know, one of the things you want universal appeal. Of course, you're going to do the major ones, right? You're going to link with WhatsApp. You're going to link with, gosh, you need to link with Facebook. But I mean, you know,
the top 200 apps.
Yeah, but if we can get your data into a CSV file, and each of your emails sit on a row of that CSV file, then we can import the CSV file into the memory blocks. I think we need a universal type loading system into the Personal AI. I love integrations, don't get me wrong, but
I've already kind of done something similar to that. So if we were to save it, doesn't matter CSV or JSON lines or whatever, I have the scripts already set up so that you can just give it a file name for a prompt, right? And you say which file you want to load. The trick is like Facebook, you can go and download your entire Facebook history file, select all the stuff, and then you say, do you want it an HTML file or do you want it a JSON file? Well, if you select JSON file, well, that's cool because now you can go and say, hey, Python application, take this JSON package that's already tagged in the proper arrays and databases and whatever it needs, right? And we send that in as the memory, right? So I haven't done it with all of the Facebook information, but it's easy to do with the chat streams. And I know when you do your complete download, they give you everything right down to metrics on click per app for the last 20 years, right? Whatever you've been on the platform for. So you can get a lot of data ingested really quickly. I just have to write the logic behind going through the download folder for the Facebook download, right? Because it gives you a big tree of folders and files to go through. And we just have to make a script that reads them all and pushes them up to your memory. Because then you could download one file, right? You put one file in, you put your personal API key in, and you say, this is the folder all my Facebook stuff's in, and it just pushes it all up, right?
Yeah.
So
quick one to chime in really quick for your use case. Until, you know, it sounds like it's very multifaceted. Like you have tech companies And furthermore, you have students you were talking about, right? So in the short term, you could also focus on making your AI profiles for those use cases that are less of like a heavy lift. So let's say for the people in the Middle East that you're teaching about democracy, you could start off with like a micro level example, right? Just like putting in all of your thoughts on democracy, all of your text, because we support Google Drive, we support public URLs and blogs. YouTube.
I have like training that developed over the years, notes from sessions, report from session that was sent to donors after that. It's a whole history of a system.
Yeah, so exactly. So the good thing is in the short term, you could like craft one of those use cases for now, if that makes sense. So let's say your training videos, you can easily put that into YouTube as an MP4, and then just start taking that into a profile. And then you can start off by sharing it with your students. And maybe tomorrow, then you make one for one of your businesses. Like, I don't know if you've been in our community lounge, but we have like a Product.AI. If any of if you have any consumer-based platforms, or you have any B2B platforms, you can start to communicate with your clients slowly. And if you start messaging more in the app, the idea is the AI learns about your up-to-date messages, right? So I think that'll help with those exact use cases in the short term, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Like one of the things, is chatting with customers. Sometimes, like the chatbot, that are available maybe up to 4 months ago. Maybe now there are better ones, but the chatbots that you had, with customer service, they were quite limited. You have to really train them. But now I would like to have a chatbot that just reads my website and some product data and is able to reply to everything else based on that experience. Brandon, I have a question for you. Actually, it's an important question. How comfortable are you now legally, and I'm talking legally based on Mississippi law and the United States laws or international laws, if you're familiar with, on training it on cases you're working on now? And if you're not, when will you be comfortable doing that?
Okay, so cases
that you're working on right now. There is, the client confidentiality and all the laws governing the ethics and regulation of being an attorney.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I've spoken with a lot of different lawyers, and to be honest with you, the law is way behind. In fact, we are so far behind the law.
Always is.
Yeah. We're nowhere even close. I will say, as far as legally goes, the service agreement that we have with Personal.AI is their agreement with us. The terms of service is a contract between the user and the provider. And if you read that thing, they can kick us off if they want to, but so can anyone else. It's a private business, but it's a contract, and they're going to keep our data safe, right? Well, LastPass was going to keep all your passwords safe, right? People are going to experience cyber breaches.
Yeah.
And it's not lost on the legal community that cyber threats are a thing. And but I mean, as far as comfort, I don't have a problem using it. In fact, I was loading some stuff the other day into it, and I'll be honest with you, I'm looking forward to the blockchain aspect of it. The blockchain is very appealing to me.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about my password getting stolen. I'm just really not. I'm worried about Ishan. Am I saying your name right? Make sure I'm saying your name right. Ishan.
You can say Ishan. Yeah.
Ishan.
Yeah, it's tough.
I'm worried about Ishan's password getting stolen.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened with the LastPass company. If we're being honest, I'm more concerned about him losing his password than I am me losing my password. Because if I lose my password, it's a bad thing. If he loses his password and he has access to my data, Matt's data, your data,
it's gone.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
So I am looking forward to the blockchain. Am I comfortable using the system? Yes, I feel like these guys are very, they've been very open, very honest. So I am comfortable with it. I use ChatGPT to review things that I'm working on. Some things, yes.
But do you sterile it? Do you remove the client name or the case number or
I
anything
do.
like that?
I sterilize things such as social security numbers. It's kind of interesting. When I first met Matt over there, the
Privacy mode.
first thing that we talked about was your AI is like a 3-year-old.
Yep.
If it sees you doing something and I ask it, it's gonna tell on me.
Oh yeah.
So if you put your AI in autopilot and you tell your AI you have a marketing meeting with Oasis and it's gonna cut a check, it will say that.
Unless so.
Personal experience, I saw that.
Yeah.
So if your AI is going to talk if you leave it on autopilot. From what you told me about your situation, you definitely need to use the profiles. Absolutely, you need to use the profiles, because no way in the world do you want some of your people from
You
cannot do that. You cannot do that at all. So yes,
No.
I would keep it separate. I don't worry. Legally though, I mean, anybody can steal anything anywhere. You said that you were freaked out because your emails from years ago were there. A website I designed in 1996 is still on the freaking internet. It's in the Internet Wayback Machine. I took a class called HTML 1.0 in 1993. I created a website that showed the weather and had my class schedule. My wife accessed it the other day on the Internet Wayback Machine. I never thought that it was done at Mississippi College where I went to undergraduate. But it's amazing to see what's out there. If you want something to stay totally confidential, do not
don't put it
digitize it. Just don't.
Yeah.
If you don't want your social security number getting somewhere, and by the way, most of your social security numbers are out there anyway. I hate to break that
everywhere.
Most of it's out there.
Yeah.
Excellent. In the United States, we have something called the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act. And basically it protects private information. And since I represent a bank, I'm very familiar with financial privacy laws. And what's interesting about that is your financial information is private from everyone except the government. So the government has access to all your banking records, by the way. It's called the Bank Secrecy Act. So
like we have an office in India that does cloud development for one of the big fours here in Canada. And the clients are government or banks basically, and we can do only about half the work. The other half we can't touch it because it has to be in country, if you would say. So these laws run all of that. But I'm just talking about in general, because we are in the birthing, if you would say, of the mass adoption of AI now, and we're going to be using it like we have never used it before. And with all the cybersecurity issue, my sister is a head of cybersecurity for a billion-dollar company. I don't want to go into the names right now. And she said exactly what you just told me. If you want to protect it, don't digitize it. Keep it on paper.
I asked the question,
just how it is right now.
I asked the question: were they SOC certified? Personal.AI is not SOC certified this time. SOC certification is huge. And if you have a relative in cybersecurity, she'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But a financial institution, we cannot do business with you if you're not SOC 1 certified. If you don't have a SOC 1 or an SSA 16, we can't touch you. In fact, we'll say, I'm sorry, we can't do business with you. I mean, that is a real thing. And that's basically penetration testing. That's where someone's going in trying to penetrate the Personal.AI is not SOC. I ask them the question. So am I going to put information on this platform that is sensitive enough that it's personal information for my clients? No, I'm not. I don't want to hurt their feelings, but I'm not going to put my client's personal information on something that's not SOC certified yet. Now, once they get SOC certified, and we have the blockchain technology, sure. But until we get there, you know, we're dealing with a very young company, by the way. Yeah. This company is not that old. I call it a baby company. It's the company is only the origins of the company is less than 2 years old, basically. Originally, the company was called Luther AI, is what this company originally was called, Luther AI. You can trace the origins. If you type in Luther AI on Google, you can trace the origins from Luther AI. In fact, if you ask Sanji, I believe is his name, is it Suman or Suman? Suman, I'm sorry, Suman. Anyway, Suman, if you talk to Suman's AI, he actually spilled the beans about Luther AI. Some of his old tweets talk about Luther AI. And so that's the origin of this company. Yeah. But you're only talking 2 years worth of time. So, you know, they're going to go through growing pains. Yeah. So I think you can grow with this platform, you know, but I'm not going to give it the keys to my kingdom, but I'm going to use it. And
one of the things I did just to test it, right? Like I said, I put in cost profit statements for two or 3 years from previous years. I put in product pricing. I put in a lot of stuff. I went through a lot of time to make my AI realize and be able to identify what was private, confidential information. I set up
I would be interested to know how you did that.
ChatGPT. So I made a Python script that made up like a dream sequence basically, and it said make up a story out of these keywords and topics and stuff. And I gave it variables that it could just randomly pick from, and then it would make a story out of them. So I gave it context like, you know, personal privacy details. So these are the types of things that are meant to be private. Then you go like, these are consequences of this information getting out. These are horrible things that could happen if this happens. These are why you're avoiding it, right?
So you're using your own API on ChatGPT right now.
So I was using ChatGPT and doing a lot of copy paste at that point, but then I also did a script that I could do it automatically, and then I just let it run for an hour or two, and it put in about 100 different examples, and then it gave it a bunch of context between it, and it worked fairly well because I mean Ziggy does a pretty good job of responding like, no, I'm sorry, I can't give you that information. However, what I trained him to do is that if I give him first, middle, last name, birth date, and another piece of identifying information all at the same time, then he could release the information, but only if it is to the person it's specifically identified to.
Okay.
Right? And that was the thought process I was trying to go through, was like, I want my sons to be able to log into my AI in 15 years if I accidentally get run over, right? And I want them to know about the stories I've told about them. But I don't want necessarily everybody on the internet to be able to say, what are Matthew's children's names? Right? Because names of family is classified as privacy information. So basically reiterating to my AI that, you know, primary objective number 1, maintain legacy information for the family. Legacy or core objective number 2, maintain privacy, maintain security for the family, prevent all information from getting out for all associated relatives or friends, right? Because that way it's like, okay, well, the core rule is do not go and release information, right? But if you have a rule to bypass that, you can get past it, right? So the trick was that I had to give it enough context on what users could ask for, right? So I went into ChatGPT and said, give me 50 examples of how somebody could ask for personal information from me, right? And it was just like, how could I get around that? How would somebody get around those questions? And then put those ones in. Now, how would I get around all of these ones, right?
And this is all in one chat on ChatGPT. This is like one chat.
You just keep bloody going and going and going. If you don't pay for ChatGPT Plus to get
I
GPT,
pay for it. I pay for it. Yeah.
GPT-4 is amazing and it does great Python coding. It will literally walk you through all of it.
I got GPT-4 API access last night.
I'm jealous.
Yeah. I'm planning to get the API access.
Just got the API. I just
build
got
out my own model.
GPT-4 API, and I played with it a little bit last night, but I wanted to finish up. I wanted to finish my project loading. And was you on the call when I was showing the CSV load into the?
Oh, probably not. I think he showed up after. Brandon's done some cool coding programs.
Yeah,
I want to squeeze your brains, guys.
It's all good. That's why we're here.
I'm not a coder, so like I have no idea of programming. But if I can see, an attorney doing it, like you're giving me hope. I can do it.
Oh, it's easy, man.
You can do it. All right. Let's see here.
But by the way, I went to law school in my younger years, and I graduated in Egypt. Never wanted to practice law, and I went into economics. So.
All right. Let me. I tell you what. Let me share my screen again with you. Give me just a second to. Let me launch. Hold on. I'm gonna launch it again. Let's see. Hold on.
Like right now, and with an organization in the UK I work with, we have about 60, 70 activists in Tunisia. And we used to go to Tunisia every 2 months. Last 4 months, we couldn't go there. The president there went crazy, arrested everybody, put in jail, leader of opposition and so on. So we would like to build a platform that is remote, that to connect, not a Facebook. There are websites like Discourse, if you heard about it, and and Monday, either a community building website or a platform. And now I'm thinking this could be a good platform for us to connect and work together. But the issue is security, because some of them, including myself, we have been a target of hacking from nation states.
Yeah.
So
that's next level. That's next level there.
That's a whole new level.
That's next level. Look, I've the deep in the weeds as I got is we've had to protect. I had a confidential informant killed one time. So when I was a prosecutor. So yeah. It can get real. Let me show you some fun though. Let's talk about some fun stuff.
Sure. Yeah, let's do that.
I think it's awesome that you're trying to spread democracy. That's awesome. I'm a fan.
I've been doing it for 20 years, 20 plus years. Actually, I was exiled because of it. So
I tell you, in the deep South, we love freedom. We do,
brother. I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
We really do. Regardless of what people say.
I know. I know.
We're freedom.
I know.
Look, us Mississippians.
I have to tell you about my story driving in the South, though.
Oh Lord, be careful. I will tell you.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
If they
it wasn't a good story, but you're gonna love it.
If they ever try to take the Mississippi, they'll never take the state of Mississippi. Look, in my neighborhood alone, the arsenal of weapons,
I know,
and guns that are in Mississippi is phenomenal. Like guys will show you their collection of guns, and they'll be like having they got so many guns they'll never shoot them all. That's It's the culture.
I lived in Chicago. I lived in Chicago before I moved here, and I had my collection. I can tell you that. And even Chicago with all the laws, I had my collection. So
well, let me share my screen with you, and we'll take.
All right, let's do that.
Fun. Tell me when you can see something. Hold on, it's coming up. And let me grab my.
So you're training it Bible verse by verse, or?
Yes. Okay. So if you look on the left, you'll see this is a CSV file that I've got.
Yeah.
And basically, this is just some training data that I pulled, and this is a CSV file, and it's the King James Bible. And what I did was I took this CSV file, and this thing in the middle right here, that's the Python script. And I hit the context, I made a context bar. And then what I did was it's taken this file, and as you can see, it's loading it into memory blocks into the system. Every line of the row is loading into the memory block. And you'll see it's putting context in front of it, Bible, scripture. then you've got King James, then you've got, and it just kind of shows, I think I'm in the book of John right now, loading. And this could be a way to bulk load information into the system.
It would also work for training language data, because if you take a religious text out of any language from any nationality, you can load that into here, and now it has the complete knowledge of that text in the characters.
Right. For me, this is really convenient because when I was testing this, I was getting some bounce back and errors and disconnects, and I could look at the last memory block and I could see the chapter and verse of scripture, and I knew exactly where my training data stopped. So I knew how to fix it. So, but you know, this is an example of loading information, and these memory blocks are getting loaded. It's important when you're loading your AI to provide context and to because it's learning is what it's doing. So I mean,
but let me ask you two questions here, or should I wait?
No,
go
ahead.
ahead.
Okay, the first one is, you know, how did you load it into an Excel sheet, or is it just available online already? The Bible like that?
It's available online already on a website called Kaggle, Kaggle, Kaggle.
Okay, and now after you load it into memory blocks here on Personal.AI, what are you going to do with it? Because I have a very good case, very similar to the Bible, and you're going to like it. But tell me first, and I will tell you the case I'm thinking about.
Okay, so let's go over. I also created my own little lightweight chat application in. Hold on. All right, so let's say you come here and I
just got to mute myself and go blank for a minute. I got to answer my phone. Keep going, guys.
So here's my little chat application. Tell me the story of the creation from the first chapter of Genesis. Send. Give it a second.
Yeah, I see it. I see it right there. You know, like you're already dead.
And there it comes. It pops up.
Oh, so this on the left, what is that? It's
that's something I made. I made that chat.
Oh.
On the left is what I made. On the right is is the app. On the left, I made that from a Python code.
Okay.
For example,
to do what? To do what?
To chat with to chat with my AI. Like for example, if I ask it, what does Exodus 1:1 say? And let's just ask it. And there's, you see on the left, I ask it, what does Exodus 1:1 say? And it says, now these are the names of the children of Israel which came into Egypt. So I have a chat. Now, if you come over here to the right
you
side,
have a chat chatting with your chat?
Yeah, I have a chat that's chatting with my AI. Instead of using Personal.AI's interface with my AI,
you're using your own interface.
I'm using my own interface.
Yeah.
And your own interface is built. Where is the brain behind your own interface?
The API connection is how you get into the API connection is how you get in.
From Personal.AI.
Yeah.
Right. Personal.AI has an API connection to the memory blocks and to messaging.
Yeah. And for uploading URLs directly as well. And
the URL upload. So, and if you also look, you'll see on the right side, when I talk on my little app, on the left side, when I talk on my little app, on the right side, it pops up its response. And it actually, if you look in the fine print down here, you can see my questions there. What does Exodus 1:1 say? And you can see the response. So, you know, I could ask it to summarize the book of Job. How about that? I think I just got through loading Job. Let's see what it does. I think I just finished loading Job earlier today. It should pop up. Okay, I lost connection. You see that?
Yeah.
It popped up. And there we go. The book of Job is an account of a righteous man who suffers unjustly. And if you look on the right
Wow.
side, you'll see 56% personal.
Yeah.
And you'll see my question, and you'll see the personal AI there. So
Yeah.
So I created this interface using ChatGPT-4.
Yeah.
You can do the exact same thing. I'm gonna teach you. Okay, I'm gonna give you some superpowers. You ready?
Yeah.
I'm ready.
All right, here comes your superpowers. Your superpowers are gonna be go to Personal AI's
Yeah. The
website
external.
and go to the documentation that talks about APIs. Switch the API to Python. Copy the entire website. Go to ChatGPT-4 and ask it, create me a connection to the messaging API for Personal AI.
Yeah.
And then copy paste in the website. ChatGPT will give you Python code. Now you're gonna have to know a little bit of Python code because you may have to tweak it a little bit.
Yeah.
But it will generate a code, and sometimes it's functional, sometimes it's not, but a lot of times it is. But you know, that is how simple it is to generate.
Like
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a computer science major. I'm a
No.
lawyer by trade.
I'm an electrician.
Yeah. I mean, but
wow.
you already have the power to do what we're doing.
Yeah.
You have it. You just got to figure out, you got to put the pieces together. You've got GPT-4. It's no
And you
secret.
deal with way more complicated situations and people than this. This is like easy cake compared to what you're normally dealing with in life, I'm sure.
Yeah. But this little lightweight chat app, you could have this lightweight chat app on ancient computers from like the early 2000s. You could have this little chat app. As long as you can run Python on it, you could run
that app will work during the service outage probably, because usually the API access works throughout the outages and the website issues. So I find that, you know, Brandon and me are probably getting way better coverage and service coverage than most of the people, because we're actually using our own interfaces usually.
Yeah, I mean, of course. So tell me about yours. I was using the Bible just because I'm familiar with it. So,
you know, I'm just thinking about the crazy idea that's going to put me in the corner of heretics for a lot of people, Muslim people in particular. You know, which is perfect. Yes, I love that.
Perfect. Yeah.
So. I mean, I was born in the Islamic faith. I grew up in it, but my mom sent me to Catholic schools, believe it or not. So I grew up, you know, quite diverse and all of that. And I left early. I left very early. And part of our family was Jewish, you know, from Andalusia and all of that. But I through politics, I've been exposed to Islamic teaching quite a lot. And then, you know, after 9/11, like everyone else, I start reading more and trying to understand more, and where all the extremism in particular, where it's coming from.
Yeah.
And then I got, you know, 15 years ago or 13 years ago, I got propelled into politics in the Middle East, and I have to deal with a lot of hardcore Islamists and so on. So Islamic theology